Hey, this is E-Rock at Fanboy Films. Today I thought I'd do a little housekeeping, talking about some old videos that I haven't got to yet. And I thought I would start with this table of contents so you could see what exactly I'm going to be covering in this debrief. Something that captured a lot of attention on my channel recently was the Late Night War Part 2 Leno vs. Conan being blocked. This video was first published in April of 2018 and remains my most viewed video with over 3.9 million views to date. It was actually the video that put me over the threshold for subscribers and watch hours that made my channel eligible for monetization, which is when I started taking my channel more seriously and trying to produce content on a more regular basis. You know, when you upload a video to YouTube, it's processed to create, lower and higher resolution versions of the video. And I would think that it would be at this time that it would be checked against the copyright library to pick up all the copyright claims it's ever going to get. But Leno vs. Conan, actually, when it was first published, remained copyright claim free for quite some time, and it was actually briefly monetized. It wasn't until almost a year after it was published that it finally got claimed for copyright and demonetized, which is fair. And yet it wasn't until 3 years plus after it was published that it actually got another claim that blocked it from being viewed by the public. In fact, I think it was blocked twice. I did initially trim one of the offending segments out to try to get it viewable again, but I decided that I couldn't keep trimming it. I thought a better way to do it would be to keep this version of the video in place, partially viewable, and to put up the full version on another source. Way back in 2007 when I started my YouTube channel, I looked around to see if there were any other video hosting sites of the same kind. I was able to set up channels at Break.com, Metacafe, Dailymotion, and much later Vimeo. Break.com is now defunct, and while I couldn't find anything on Google about Metacafe coming to an end, its URL does now redirect to Videos Hub, which does not have my channel for Metacafe on it. I went ahead and put the full Leno vs. Conan video on my Vimeo account, and shortly afterwards my Vimeo channel was terminated. I was able to talk them into giving me my channel back minus all the offending videos, but I guess I can't use that as a backup anymore. That only leaves Dailymotion as a backup for my videos now, so that is where Leno vs. Conan currently resides. The most vexing thing is that the only thing blocking Leno vs. Conan on YouTube is a 20-second clip that is claimed by Anthem Entertainment. And I know that Anthem Entertainment doesn't own Late Show with David Letterman. Letterman's own company, Worldwide Pants, owns the show. But it's possible that Anthem Entertainment has some kind of distribution rights, so I can't make a counterclaim against them because I don't really know. My Late Night War Rivers vs. Carson was claimed the minute that it was published. And in fact, it was not viewable anywhere in the US or any US territories. But it has been viewable worldwide everywhere else, ever since it was published. And it was one of the videos that was backed up on Vimeo, which is now lost. So it currently resides at Dailymotion as well. Speaking of odd claims, I had a video I was going to publish at the end of April 2021, which was my love letter to the Bully Maguire meme, or theme, or whatever you want to call it. If you don't know, Bully Maguire is a character that's been making the rounds on YouTube by several different YouTube artists, taking recuts of the evil Spider-Man character from Spider-Man 3, and there's also been sort of a subset of memes about his landlord, Mr. Ditkovich, and his quest to get the rent from Bully Maguire. I had also seen several videos from all these YouTubers that recut Bully Maguire going through the MCU collecting Infinity Stones. But I hadn't seen any one YouTuber cover all 6 Infinity Stones, or any sort of longer story. So once again, I kind of found a story in all these pieces, kind of like I did with the Late Night War. So I put together a supercut of different bits and pieces of these videos from other YouTubers, linked together with a few little pieces that I contributed into a supercut that I called the Rent Saga. So this supercut wasn't completely my work. It was mostly the work of other YouTubers. I was just sort of piecing it together. So I was somewhat reluctant to put it on my channel as sort of my creation. But being as I didn't have any other videos for the month, I thought I would just go ahead and do it and see what the response was. The interesting thing is that it got blocked 100% on YouTube because of one clip that I had taken from another channel. And that's what I find so curious, because the clip was viewable on this other YouTuber's channel, and he or she is not the copyright holder. So why is it viewable on their channel but not on my channel? I don't know why. I also tried putting my backup onto Dailymotion, which also blocked it, which is interesting because every other video on my Dailymotion account has copyrighted content, but just this one is being blocked. So for now, Bully Maguire will remain unseen. The Late Night Saga Melee was supposed to be a short-form version of the Late Night War, covering some sort of a conflict between 2 late-night hosts, but shorter, trying to make a shorter-form video that I could edit quickly so I could produce something every month, which is what I've been trying to do, but still leave me time to work on my second project, which is The Late Night War Part 1, which I promise is coming someday. I've been reading some books about the subject. I've been trying to get more informed than I did about Part 2, which might need to get recut someday. And the first melee went pretty well. Snyder versus Rona Barrett, because it was sort of a thing that I touched upon in the Three's a Crowd video, but I didn't fully flesh out. What made this a good fit for this short form format was that there wasn't a lot of media to be found on it. In fact, even finding clips of Rona Barrett on a Tomorrow Show was pretty difficult. So I was mostly left to articles that I found from old magazines or newspapers that I was just going to narrate myself. And so when I narrate something myself, and that's going to be the bulk of the content you see, I would rather keep it shorter. As in Three's a Crowd, it was a 54-minute video, and I did maybe 5 minutes of narration spread throughout, whereas the melee was pretty much just 5 minutes of me talking. So I just kind of wanted to keep it brief, and that one worked really well. Now, by the time I got to the second one, which was the Howard Stern versus Magic Johnson, that one kind of ballooned out of control. There was just a lot of material on it. I mean, the original Howard Stern clip that I found was like 4 hours long, so trying to get that down to just a few minutes, just hitting kind of the highlights of it, was difficult. But it's still, the whole thing went together pretty quickly as far as an edit. And probably what I spent the most time on was the character select screen, which I was really happy with how that turned out. So I'll probably reuse that on my next one. The Late Night Saga Spotlight was another attempt to do a shorter form thing, once again to leave myself time to work on Part 1 someday. Pat Sajak was a pretty good fit because it just seemed like I found a lot of clips that would sort of tell his story, and I was able to put it together fairly quickly as well. But I will have to admit that the reason it sparked my idea to do this one now was because I stumbled back across that clip of Tom Snyder lambasting the CBS executives over what they were doing to the Pat Sajak show.
Do you hear the helicopters getting closer and closer and closer? Wappa, 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 wappa.
That was just funny, and I just had to put it in somewhere, so I'm like, let's just do this one now. I also produced a couple of mashup videos, Twister of Souls and the Riker's Family Tree. I have somewhere a whole list of videos that I wanted to make, which were, matching up a song with a movie with the same or similar title, like in this case, Twister versus Tornado of Souls. I don't know why that appeals to me. I've just played a bunch of them out in my head already. It just takes me time to find all the clips. This one was worse because instead of just using the one movie I should have, Twister, I decided to put in clips from like 30 other tornado movies, which of course first required me to find the movies and then watch them all so that I could find the good pieces. And no less than 3 tornado movies featured Casper Van Dien, so I should get some kind of an award for watching those. It should be clear from my channel that Star Trek is one of my favorite pieces of pop culture. I was working on a video based on Deanna Troi, and there's kind of a longer story behind that, but I decided not to do that one. And then somehow, because I had rewatched all of Next Gen and taken notes, for some reason this video kind of sprung to mind. I just noticed that Riker had a lot of relatives that had all been mentioned and seen on the show, so I don't know why I got the idea to put together a family tree, but it just seemed fun. Speaking of monetization, my entire channel was demonetized again recently. And it's interesting that YouTube has a new feature that allows you to appeal the decision in a video. So I spent time last weekend making a video and sending it to YouTube where I stated my case, basically saying that I thought while copyrighted videos on my channel should not be monetizable, the rest of my channel should be. And they actually reviewed my video within 12 hours, I think, and sent me some feedback. So, and I haven't been approved for remonetization yet, but it'll be interesting going forward to see if I can eventually win them over. That about wraps it up for this time. Tomorrow I'll be publishing a new video on the main channel, and next month I'll be working on another entry in the Late Night Saga, focusing on the women of late night.